All right. Are we live? I don't know. Trying to figure it out. Ooh. Okay. I think we're live. So now I need to find the chat. Why would the chat button be down there? That is strange. So for those of you who don't know, I don't know if it was what's it, StreamYard or me, because it could easily have been either. But apparently, when I was moving stuff around, doing what I was doing, I hit a button and closed StreamYard. StreamYard was like, nope, we're done. And, or StreamYard or whatever. So, yeah. So that's what happened. If anybody's wondering what's going on. So, let me see. So, I'm going to re-add no, I don't need any help. Leave me alone. How do I close this window? I don't see an X. I hate that there's not an X. So that you can just be like, nah, I'm good. Leave me alone. Status, all systems operational, Captain. Okay. So, good. Exit, please. Exit this, please. Please exit this. Send us a message. How about I mean, seriously. Sitting here trying to live stream. You're not helping. You're not helping. I've got the help screen up, but it doesn't tell me how to close the help screen, which is not a big help for me because the help screen is directly over the frickin' try again. No, I don't want to try again. I don't want to send you a message. I just want the screen to go away. Okay. Just want the screen to go away, please. Okay. How can there not be an X? Just something to make that go away. How is that possible? That is like, God. You know, it's starting to make me miss the good old days of just doing shit on YouTube or freaking you are there. Okay, hold on. Where are you? That is the question. You are somewhere. Bear, I have this thing up and it's not letting me let it, like, it's not going away, and it's covering the chat, and it's saying, hey, do you need help? And I'm like, no, I don't need any help. But it won't go away, and I can't find an X to make it go away. You know what I mean? There's like no X or whatever, you know, it's just there. And I can't read any of your chats at all because of this thing, the help menu. This is the help menu that will never end. It just goes on to F with you, my friend. Share screen. Yeah, okay. I don't think you remember who you're talking to, young man. Okay, where is press the button. And I've got a share screen button around here somewhere. I've seen it once or twice when I was roaming about. This is definitely the most effed up live stream I've ever done.
What?
I said this is the most messed up live stream I've ever done.
Is it like the universe is effing with you?
Yes. There's a help screen. There's a help screen up, and it's not telling me how to close it. And I don't want the help screen. I want the everything else stuff. Oh my God. I figured it out. Okay. So anyone who clicked the link to join, okay, there you are. So now I have to hit to let you join.
Hey!
And there you are. Okay. Hello.
Hello, Restream. Learning curve.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you heard when I was goofing off with the computer, something happened and the other one just went away. It went away. However, it looks like everybody showed up over here. He totally decided to flop his room from one side to the other, right?
If you go down at the bottom where your camera settings are, when you click on your camera, there'll be an option there to mirror screen. You just click it and it'll flip your camera on screen for you.
I mean, this is right, though.
Yeah, but your t-shirt says Adidas backwards.
So go down to the camera.
And then mirror screen.
And mirror.
Actually, sorry, it's under settings. Sorry, under the settings cog, right at the bottom, it says mirror camera.
Okay. So let's see. General video.
You'll see mirror camera right at the bottom.
Yep.
Boom. And now we're back to what you normally look like.
Well, thank you guys very much. I'm ever so grateful.
Listen, it was either come hang out with you and maybe do a little tech support or watch another episode of classic Star Trek.
Oh, well, I mean, I would have chose classic Star Trek, honestly.
Yeah, but I've seen them all many times over.
Yeah, well, me too.
Where with you, it's always a new adventure.
Yeah, that's true. Super excited. If I didn't tell everybody this before, last night when I checked my emails, I had a tracking number from Mr. Secchi. I clicked the link. It sent me to Hobbit porn. Wrong link for sure. That's like R.R. Martin's. That's R.R. Martin's webpage. He's the one that seems to be obsessed with like hobbits having sex in Middle Earth. But anyway, so my Talislanta Epic Edition books are, and what's kind of crazy about it is they sent it UPS instead of USPS. So I printed out a character sheet from the back of the PDF. I'm super excited. I've been waiting for like a long time. So
nice.
I've been waiting for a girl like you.
Well, in this case, it'd be a game like you.
To my life. Yeah, but you know. I like the way you kiss me. I can tell you miss me. I can tell you miss me. Don't try to be romantic. I hit it from the back so that you don't get attached.
Wow.
Your
brother was saying that you guys had a secret ballot to not play your One Ring game every week.
Yeah. Basically, what happened is just everyone decided that they only wanted to play the game every other week, and I voted for every week, but pots and pans banging in the background. Yeah, no, that's my wife. She's in the kitchen. I mean, I told you guys.
What?
It's like, tell me what you know about Slav life. The fuck you know? All right.
Fuck you, woman. You are my wife.
Yeah. Wash the dishes. You are my wife. Slav life. Slav life. Hey, baby. Hey. Thank you for cooking cabbage tonight. I love cabbage. Yeah, right. Like a witch thing going on there. Like, except I wouldn't be good to eat because you know
Gristly.
you wouldn't want to eat a diabetic. That would be kind of like, like really, he's not sweet enough.
That's fair.
But yeah, yes, guys, the rattling you can hear, that is my wife rattling around in the kitchen, taking all the leftovers from dinner and putting them in containers and putting them in the fridge. Some of our favorite containers are the ones you get from the Chinese restaurant. Not the paper ones, but when you order like Singapore chow mein foon or whatever, and they send you the food
Plastic
in a
ones. Yeah.
plastic container with a lid.
Don't ever reheat them. Oh boy, you're gonna be releasing those cancerous plastics.
Yeah.
Only
But
good for food. I gotta go. Cody just started up. We're getting ready for pregame. I gotta run, sir.
Go play your game.
Bye. Talk to you later.
Everybody make sure they subscribe to Cody. He's a good guy. A fellow Appalachian. He's from the volunteer state. So there you go. Well, this should be about a lot bigger, but it's the Terran fighter craft from Enemy Mine. I never did find a Drac one, but I'm sure there's one out there. But I'm not sure I'd even want a Drac one. It's like, but I did print out a couple of these, and even though to be in scale for Enemy Mine, they probably should be about twice as big. When you consider that you got the cockpit here, and then you would have the Rio back here somewhere. These aren't big enough. But if you were playing a game of Traveler 2300, this is a perfect single seat light aircraft space fighter. So, you could see this whole front end just being the cockpit that pops open. Guy sits down and off it goes. And of course, 2300, it would be using reaction engines. So, literally, guy would be strapped to a rocket. Like this thing has a big drive on the inside, but it's nuclear powered. So it's got a fusion reactor on the inside that creates the energy to push it through space. Yeah, but Enemy Mine is like such a great story, I mean, people talk about it and they say it wasn't, whatever, but, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but you want to talk about a sci-fi story that actually had like a good message, you know? The kind of story you could sit down with your kids and watch, and they would be like, you know, that's a good message, you know? Oh, geez. Oi, ma rose, ma rose. Oi, ma rose, menya. Hey, ma rose, menya. Mario, Marvo. I would have said it Marvo. Cunha, which is horse. Yeah, that's a song to Father Frost to make Father Frost not. Well, basically, the hunter is lost in the forest, and the frost is on the ground, and well, the snow is on the ground, and he's singing to Father Frost not to take him and his horse. Yeah, yeah. And Morose is Frost. Menya, yeah, me, Cunha, horse. There's a girl out there, not your echo. She's like this black-haired girl. And she does a really good version of horses. You know, the one about riding the horse in the evening time and all that. And how she does it is because, you know, that song a lot of times is sung by a choir, is she records each part and then mixes it. So it's all her, but it's for she's doing all the parts. How's my horse? Up in Kentucky. No one rides her. She's old. The cyborg. Hello, the cyborg. The cyborg reminds me of one of my favorite parts of one of my favorite movies where the guy's like, God damn, well, you got a dead cat in there? And all of a sudden you see the display comes out and fuck you, asshole. Man, Arnie was so good in that movie. I mean, to think that they were trying to get so many different actors to do it. And it was like there was just something about Schwarzenegger that made that yeah, towards the end it talks about how his horse is beautiful and his wife is kind of jealous of it or whatever. Zinnia. Yeah. Terrible. Yeah. But yeah, that is. Last night I fell to sleep watching In the Mouth of Madness for like the second time. So I think there's something wrong with me because I think I've just watched the movie too much. And now I'm at that point where it comes on and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you know, whatever. I'm like, Bruce saying hi to Not Your Echo. Yeah. I was on Twitter and some idiot posted that if Trump pulls out all of the U.S. funding for Ukraine, then England and France are considering sending ground troops into Ukraine. And I just posted my response, which was, well, we won't really miss France or Ukraine anyway, or France or England anyway. You know, they had a good run. They had a good run. That's all I would say about that. How you doing, Bastille? You know, they had a good run. It's sad that things had to go the way they had to go. But because it's like the British cannot even project power onto their own island. And France has never won a war since the Corsican. So it's like, really? You guys are thinking about putting your troops on the line in the face of Russian soldiers, and you think that's going to turn out well. It's like you think that Putin won't take that in the worst possible way and just go ahead and nuke a few of your cities just to remind you that, what would you call it? The FAFO equation? Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Big Vic? Yeah, I was reading Big Vic's comments on Twitch before I came on here. He was on there stirring it up. A lot of stuff going on Twitter X these days, man. I mean, it's like one of the funnest places to be. You know what I mean? It's like every day Elon or somebody does something that just causes people to start spurging, and if you're just like a normal person, you go on to that webpage and you're just like watching everybody just freaking the hell out, and yeah, it's definitely worth it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have an X account, this is the best time to be on X. They did like research, and X is 48% conservative and 47 or 49% leftists. So it's like you can't say it's an echo chamber. It's almost split right down the middle, right? But the difference is Elon will not ban you if you want to go on there and use certain hurtful words, as long as those words are legal and don't break the law. So, if you want to call somebody an artard and tell them to go, choke on a bag of Richards, you can do that. And no one will even blink an eye. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, yep, that's the way shit rolls these days. And a lot of lefties are leaving to go to Blue Sky. And what's hilarious is Blue Sky made a post about how they're dealing with like tens of thousands of reports every hour. And they were like, just for comparison, in the whole year of 2023, we only dealt with like 300,000 in the whole year. But since all the whiny babies have quit X and went to Blue Sky, they're all reporting each other. Like Mark Hamill went over there and got roasted. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't have expected it, but it happened. He went over there thinking, he was going to be like the man, and the people of Blue Sky roasted his ass. And then the other one, Rob Reiner, he quit Twitter and went to Blue Sky, and they roasted him so bad, he said he's checking himself into a spa or a mental institution. It's like, I mean, what you do when you have a website full of the worst human beings that you can possibly gather together, and all they want to do all day is hang out and report one another for stupid shit. That's Blue Sky. But it's really too bad. The Brits have been enormously important to the yeah. It is too bad. Visleti Pedenia. Yeah, but you know what? I've been saying this for years, and the people who have stuck with me, and if I didn't delete all of my videos, I could show it. For years, I've been saying that the West needs to pull their head out of their ass, or we're just going to fall and be swept under Islam, and that the Eastern Europe is going to be the savior of the West. And a lot of people didn't want to hear that. And I got called some names, but I think I'm still right, you know, because in Poland, Russia, Hungary, you know, they're not telling their young men what trash they are. They're not, you know, trying to promote all this wackadoo woo woo shit about, like, I guarantee you, if you were walking down the street in Moscow and you stopped a random dude and said, "What is a woman?" he would probably look at you like you'd lost your damn mind. You know, he'd be like, you know, like, why are you asking me this? Like, what's your problem? Right. But you know, you can't even ask that question in America. You know, the people who freaking are supposed to know shit don't know anything. And that's just the sad state of affairs, you know? Like, if you open a door for a woman, that's not chivalrous, that's misogynistic. And if you say a woman is a female human and can have babies, well, then you're committing a hate crime. But am I racist? Probably not racist enough, James. That's what Ungar always says when people are like, "You're racist," and he always says, "Not racist enough." And I mean, it cracks me up, but that's just me, you know. And no one should base how they do anything on what I do, because that's just not a wise way to go. The only thing I will tell you guys you should do that I did is, and I know you're sick of hearing about it, guys. I know you are. I would tell you to get your asses down to the nearest parish Orthodox church near you and have a talk with the priest and see about getting a sponsor and going through the catechumen and getting baptized. That is the only thing that I would say I should be copied on, is that. But other than that, no. Why does it say hold on? To activate chat, please enable channels. When the hell is that? Okay. Oh, well, it says right there I'm live on, yeah. Okay. But yeah, the thing that what's his name did, am I racist? It's just like, the only way to not be racist in America is to 100%, if you are a straight white man, hate yourself. Hate yourself, hate your ancestors, hate everything about you, everything about where you come from. You have to actively hate yourself. Otherwise, you're racist. And even if you do go by all the bullshit that they want you to go by, you're probably still racist. So, you know, there's like, it's not a, there's no winning. There's no winning. But anyway, what am I working on? Right now, I am gluing an arm onto a Lithuanian warrior. I need to redo his shield and highlight his skin, because the Lithuanians, as I've said before, were hardcore pagans. So they'll be doing a little bit of scrapping with my Poles and my Rus, because I have the Rus army I've built is House of Rurik, so Vladimir the Great. So we're talking like 988. And so when he begins the Christianization of Russia, obviously, no, Mr. Blue Sky was it ELO? Actually, it might have been. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Mr. Blue Sky was a good one, but I think I like the one where the man's like falling in love with the computer. I forget the name of the song, but yeah, they were, if it's who I'm thinking of, they were pretty progressive back in the day, you know. And I don't mean the bad kind of progressive. I mean the good kind of, prog rock and shit like that, But, all good things come to an end. All right. We've got some messages up here in the What's It Majigger. We have a Bruce. We click the little lever and then we get another Bruce. Look at this, Bruce.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight?
Got Hungar fighting a giant snake to
Fucking
save a
love
woman.
How are you, gentlemen and ladies, tonight? Doing pretty good?
I'm doing actually pretty awesome. The wife made me one of my favorite meals, which is fried cabbage. And we're straightening up because I'm going to have relatives visit, which is going to be awesome. And yeah. And like I said, I got a tracking number from Sechi. So my Talislanta Ultimate Edition books are definitely, they've got a shipping, at least they've got a shipping label. And like I said, for whatever reason, they sent it UPS instead of United States Postal Service. What are the differences between, you know what, James? You would have a lot better time asking, like, if you're Catholic, ask your priest and see what he says, and then go find an Orthodox priest and ask him what he says, and then you'll figure it out. The main thing is, as the story goes, which I believe 100%, in 1158, when Rome declared itself the seat of all of Christendom, the other four bishops, so Antioch, Constantinople, anyway, I think Jerusalem and wherever, said no, that we don't, it's not like that. Only Jesus is the head of the faith. And so there was like a few decades or so where there were a lot of people like excommunicating each other back and forth, and that's pretty much it. What's up, Fleety? How you doing, bro? So
in here? Oh, wow.
There's Fleety, yeah. But if you're talking about going to mass, it's not that different. I've been to a Catholic mass. The Orthodox Church is actually fully titled the Orthodox Apostolic Catholic Church. So, and our claim to fame is that we have never changed anything about the faith. But hey, whatever. Roman Catholic, while I don't agree with them, at least you're not like a Jehovah's Witness or something. What's up, howdy?
Hey, Nerdy Yogurt. Lady,
Or,
haven't seen you in a
an
while.
atheist or a Satanist or something. There's levels to this shit, like parfait. Right? There's levels, layers and shit. But I always tell anybody, I am not the guy to come to for theological advice. Pick up a phone or go to your local church and talk to a priest. Because those guys are the ones that have studied scripture and the fathers and like everything for like their whole lives. And I am a convert So, I wasn't born into that faith. Wesleyan, yeah. One thing I will say, James Seymour, I don't know if this will change your opinion or not, and if it don't, I'm, whatever. Look up any church, Christian church, or any religion, and if you look them all up, and you go far enough back, you will always find the person who created that religion, right? With Orthodoxy, if you go far enough back to find the person who created the religion, it'll be 33 AD, Jesus Christ. Like Islam was created by Muhammad. We all know that. The Hindus have their Brahmins that, wrote down their religion. Every Christian sect, be it Protestant or whatever, has some guy that was the first guy. Like Southern Baptist it's like a couple hundred years old. It's not even that old, and that's the major thing. That's the major thing. So DM James is just a Jewish Orthodox hippie. I'm, believe it or not, I'm not ethnically Jewish, guys. My mom remarried when I was very young to a Jewish man, and I converted, and I was raised in a Jewish home until I was in my mid-20s. So I spent many, many years living in a very conservative, kosher home, etc. But ethnically, I am mostly Scandinavian, German, and Slavic. Like how they draw a picture of Europe and then they put the circle of where you're from. Like I don't got a circle. I've got like this line that just runs across the coast of the Baltic. You know what I mean? It's like you're from this region right here. So, did I get the Swedish from the original Rus that bred in with the Slavs? And of course, Germanic blood, because they don't say German like the nation. They say Germanic, which could be Lombards, Goths, Ostrogoths, Visigoths. I mean, literally, there were 1,000 Germanic tribes. So that don't tell you much. And then, when they say Slavic, well, what kind of Slavic? I mean, Russian, Polish, the Wends, who lived in what's now Eastern Germany, but way back in the day. How do you harvest kosher Kentucky wildlife? You can eat any animal if it has a split hoof and chews a cud. So cows, goats, sheep, deer chew a cud, I believe. So that's okay. You're not supposed to eat pig. However, my great grandma, who came from Russia, was born and raised in Russia, she ate pork, but she super drew the line at dairy and meat. Like, there never could you have a cheeseburger, a pizza with any meat on it. She would freak. But would she eat a pork roast? Yeah, she would.
That's weird.
It's
different.
Also, there's a rule in Judaism where if you go to a friend's house and they offer you food, you eat it, right? Because it's a bigger crime to commit an act of inhospitality than it is to eat forbidden food. But Judaism, as it exists today, rabbinical Judaism, didn't come into being until like the 5th or 6th century. And Orthodox Judaism, or Hasidism, didn't come into existence until 16th or 17th century in Poland. So actual the religion of the actual Hebrews in the Old Testament is dead. But Orthodox people will tell you we're the continuation of the Old Testament religion. But then certain people get really mad because they're like, members of a religion that prides ethnicity more than, being a good person, and they get really pissed off about it. Yeah, but when you're living that kosher life, you don't get to eat like crustaceans at all.
Nope.
You don't get to eat catfish.
Nope.
There's like, but I mean, I don't know. I never noticed because my pops ordered cheese pizza. And since he was from Queens, he ordered New York style cheese pizza. And I love it. And to this day, sometimes I love just a New York style cheese pizza, What is this Talislanta Ultimate Edition to which you have referred? Well, apparently the creator of Talislanta, Mr. Secchi, has decided, at least this is the story, that he's making one more edition and that's it. Then it's over. It's done, right? And that edition is the 6th edition, also known as the Ultimate Edition. Now, I already have all the PDFs, and you know what they changed from like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? Not a damn thing. Presentation. I mean, the artwork's really, really good. They took away some of the no, I've never been noodling. I've heard of people dying doing it in the Cumberland, though. So my rule of thumb to any of you guys that want to go noodling, do not put your head underwater.
No.
If you're not noodling. Because if you stick your arm down the gullet of a 100-pound catfish, you're not going to pull him out of that cave. And then you'll drown. And that'll be you. It has happened. Look it up. And yes, people have caught catfish out of the Cumberland River and stuff, 90, 100 pounds. In that range. Not all the time. You go catfishing. Guys come home with, their stringer full of, foot and a half long, fat catfish. That's great, whatever, right? But Cumberland River can get down to 400 foot deep. So, yeah, I don't even swim in that place. Because if a catfish were to grab me, a grown adult, by the leg and decide it wanted to pull me under, there would be jack and shit I could do about it. Under I would go. That would just be the end of it.
I don't know if you got the link I just sent you on your
I did.
Chat. Okay. If you want to pull that up and share it with the rest of the class, that's a little 95 or 100-pound girl with a 60 or 50-pound flathead.
Oh, yeah, those flatheads get big, too.
For those who don't know, that's Hannah Barron. Her dad's quite the outdoorsman. He's very good.
Can you guys see that or no? I'll open the link. I might have to share the screen.
Share the screen. Share the screen.
Okay, so select window to share. No, not that.
Press H. When you've got your window up with the little girl and the catfish, press H on your keyboard. Because that should be.
Okay, so just go here and press H. Did it work?
I'm waiting. I don't see it yet. I see your smiling face. I see my hand.
Damn it, I want it to work.
Me too. Let me try it. Let me try it.
Yeah, it's not opening as a whatever. It's opening as
go over where you have me.
Okay, Bruce, share the screen. Show on stream. Boom. Yeah, and that's not even a big one.
No, that's like a 40-pounder.
Yeah, that's not a big one. They get in Tennessee, they've got one that's like 9 feet or so. And apparently there's a breed of catfish in freaking Italy that will literally just eat people. Like, I mean, you wouldn't think it, but there's a river in Italy and there's catfish that live in this river, and they say these bastards will eat you. So it's like, okay, then.
Do you see what I pulled up there, where it has the guy next to the
What is
giant
that, gator gar?
It looks like it.
Yeah, gator gars will get 12 feet.
Oh, oh, oh.
And they're armored as hell. I mean, they're too much work to even bother wanting to eat. You know what I mean?
No, I don't like gator gar.
Yeah, it's too much work. You practically got to get a set of like metal shears and yeah, to like clip the scales of those things, and then they're bony as hell too. So yeah, it's an issue, but they live down here, and I've never heard anybody say anything. See that's a catfish right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh shit. Here we go. That's catfish.
Yeah. I know every now and then they catch them out of the Mississippi and the lakes that are connected to it. And these things will be, close to 200 pounds. So, lady trying to tread water. Hey, man, aren't we all? Aren't we all just trying to live another day, find a little bit of happiness, and not get our balls stomped on by the man? That's kind of that's kind of the whole thing. That's what we're doing around here,
Lady, if you need to talk, man, I hope you have my number still. If not, we'll get my number to you. That's not a problem.
Yeah. See, you know what my problem is?
What's that?
I'm a horrible listener.
Yeah, I'd rather try to listen though.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm a horrible listener. I try to listen. I'm just a horrible listener.
It's okay. There was this kid that I went to school with when I was young. I was like 5 and 6 years old. I went to this Lutheran school, and we were pretty close up until like adulthood, 18, and then I went off the squid life, and he got some girl pregnant and started doing what townies do. They just kind of sit around and drink beer, and that's it. Well, he kept drinking beer. He got really addicted to alcohol. He loved alcohol. And as time went on, he just got really obese. And then as his life has fallen apart, we were about 33, and things just went to hell for him. Like, he started having real medical issues, and I didn't listen to him. Like, he even sent me emails, and I could see that I'm asking you for help. And I'm like, he's not asking me for help, is he? I don't got my shit together. I make $400 a week. He ain't asking me for help. And he fucking just, he drunk himself to death. And I had to look at his sister and his daughter at the funeral in 2009. And I just felt like shit. So if any one of my friends, any one of the people that I would claim to try to tell you, like, I'm invested in their health, or I want them to be good and healthy and happy, and if they're going through shit and they don't understand, like, no, listen, dude, I've already lost one friend. I already lost one of the friends that I had when I was young. I'll never be able to talk to Tommy again. He's dead. Don't make it two for me. Don't make it, like this huge list. It's going to happen regardless. My friend's going to die, and eventually so will I. But I just want to, at least make sure that people understand, like, if you need help, if you reach out to me, I will do what I can to be there and listen to you, because I already fucked that up once. I don't want to do it twice.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get all emotional there, but that's just
No, that's get it off your chest, man. I will tell you guys something that might make you think differently about me. I hope it won't. But I did this thing they call disassociation. And my particular, because there's 5 types of disassociation, my particular brand of disassociation was fugue state, which basically means it's like you're looking down at yourself while you do things. So, needless to say, I was immediately put into one of the best spa type, places ever, right? Uh, and of course, they were drugging me up, and I was completely out of it, and like just not reacting at all. And then I remember eating breakfast with my best friend for like a week. Every morning I'd go down and I'd get breakfast, and then I'd give him my breakfast and I'd eat a banana. And did that for a week. Well, long story short, I had a military event happen and jumped out of a second floor window and escaped the hospital, because apparently something inside of me was like, time to go. And so then the hospital didn't want to take me back because they're like, we can't handle this guy. You know what I mean? They were really worried about it. Like when they looked at my file and shit, they're like, no, we're not set up for that. So I ended up getting moved to another place. And eventually I came around, and now everything's great. And this is years ago. But the point of the story is, when I got out of that hospital, my pops picked me up, and the first thing out of my mouth was, how's Marcus? And he said he died 2 weeks ago. And I was like blown away, because in my altered state, I thought I'd had ate breakfast with him every morning for a week, but he would have been dead during that time. So, yeah, weird. That's some weird stuff, you know what I mean? But I've been through the ringer, so I wouldn't like judge anybody for like problems they have. Yeah, I've been through the ringer myself, guys. I mean, it turns out a lot of firefighters end up having issues after the fact. Those of us that live, most firefighters die within 5 years of retirement. So I'm lucky. I'm still kicking, but like I do know of at least 3 or 4 guys I worked with that retired, a year later dead. It's morbid. I laugh out of the morbidness of it. Who is to say I didn't have breakfast with him? That's true. Maybe he was visiting me even though he was dead. Maybe I was the only one who could see him, but we were spending that little bit of time together before he went on to hopefully bigger and better things. He was flawed, but overall decent man. So, I pray for him and I wish the best for him and all that. And it's like, that was the weirdest experience in my life where I was ever like, damn, that's like some weird supernatural shit. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I've been in situations more than once where I was like, damn, that's some weird supernatural shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was definitely the saddest because, I mean, as soon as I was out and able to, do whatever I wanted for myself, the first thing I wanted was to visit my best friend. And he was dead. And not only could I never visit him again, but I missed his funeral because, they'd had his funeral while I was still, in the hospital, drugged out of my mind, which, let me tell you, that stuff is not great, but I'm not a doctor, so don't take that as like medical advice or anything ever. Hello, my
Howdy,
good.
howdy.
Look at those lights behind you. You got your string of LEDs.
Yep.
Yeah, those are good. Those are really good, handy to have.
Mhm.
Very pretty, nerdy.
I can even change the colors.
Yeah, those are handy to have. You can, move them around. You can put them wherever you. I mean, yeah. I've seen a lot of guys that go out into the woods and like build cabins and stuff, and like the one guy is Bush Radical on YouTube, and he uses those to light his cabins because he's got like a solar panel.
Yeah.
So, and the only thing he's got in house is like the light and a phone charger. So, one decent sized panel will do it. You know what I mean? And that's what he does at night is he's got those strips that he puts across the top there. But the guy actually competed on Alone, but he didn't win. But he competed. The one guy that was on Alone that I knew was going to win, the wife and I sat down. Is there a place for craft paints in miniature painting? James Seymour, I can answer that too. Yes. The answer is yes. As a matter of fact, somewhere around this mess of a desk of mine, it's right here. I have a big old apple barrel matte nutmeg brown. Now, if you're going to actually put this on miniatures, you're going to put a lot of coats on to get coverage. But if you ever build any kind of terrain at all, this is a godsend because this big old thing here costs like nothing. So people like me that like to build miniatures and castles and shit, you want to have a couple browns, some grays, maybe a black. Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of building terrain, my wife purchased my I say my, but it's our Christmas gift, and it came in today. It's a 3D printer.
Oh, nice. What did you go with?
Gift that keeps on giving.
It will. It will. And then if you go on My Mini Factory, Yegi, Thingiverse, there's so many of them. You can find so many amazing free miniatures. Like the STLs cost you nothing but the resin. And like if you want to make, like this guy right here, who I need to work on more. He's a schema priest with a incense thing. That's a 3D print. That's a 3D print. And he looks amazing. And you know who put the STL out for this? Freaking War Games Atlantic. A lot of the miniature kits they sell, they also also sell STLs. So, I mean, which I'm like, okay, probably a good idea, man. Jump on that thing.
James Seymour, if you're asking me, I don't know yet. We haven't even actually got it out of the box because we got to get it where we're going to set up. We got to get that area organized.
If it's resin, you're going to want to print probably nothing much bigger than this, depending on, you know, what it is. And this guy's hollow. You can't see, but like his belly's got holes in it. If it's a filament, you are going to be able to make shit like this. Filament printers are amazing for, like, you want to make a castle, a good filament printer is going to make you a castle. Unless you key them in just perfect. Now, there are guys online who can teach you this, how to print actual RPG figures using filament printers. It's really hard, and you have to have all the settings really like keyed in. But filament printers, you can make starships, you can make props, cosplay shit. Like half of my Deathcore of Krieg cosplay was made on filament printers. This whole spaceship, and you can see this thing is like 3 feet tall. This thing was made on filament printers. So part of me would like a filament printer, but I've already got the ones I got, and I just don't want to get divorced. I'm joking, obviously, but only halfway. It's like, you know how you sometimes you know you can do a thing, but you also know you probably shouldn't. Yeah, it's like that. It's like, could I do it? Yes, I could. Should I do it? No. She just tolerated me saving up and buying a AR chambered in 300 blackout. So I probably should relax on major purchases for a while, you know. Like, which I can't wait. My uncle's talking about all 3 of us going to the range.
Well, this major purchase she did. This one's on her. I mean, we all talked about it. We all wanted the thing, but she's the one that actually pulled the trigger on it.
Well, the thing is, too, though, and I don't know what your price point is, but like the Elegoo Mars resin printers, they're like $100 now. Like, when they very first come out, they were like $500. Now they're like, you know, $100, maybe 100 and change, and half of the time they come with like mail-in rebates and all that kind of shit.
But this one she said was like $700, and she put it in the shopping cart whenever it dropped to $370 something, and then whenever it dropped,
I know that my Saturns were very expensive, and I waited till they were on sale before I bought them.
And then whenever it dropped to like $240 something, she just pulled the trigger on that and said, "Merry Christmas, everybody."
That's the thing with 3D printers. The technology is growing so fast that, like, a printer will come out. Like, I have a Saturn. They've got the Jupiter. Last time I checked, the Jupiter was like $700. I bet you it's probably well under 500 now.
Yeah.
And the Jupiter has like a huge build plate.
Well, that's the thing with any piece of technology.
Yeah,
the technology is advancing so rapidly that by the time you get the latest and greatest, it's outdated.
Well, the good news is I still use my Mars Pro sometimes. I mean, it has a very small build plate, but if I want to print up like, I don't know, a Lance of Mechs or some shit like that. It's the best printer I own for a little build. You know, the only time I print up the Jupiter is when I want to print like 20 figures at a time. You know, and then the Jupiter will do that. But if I don't need 20 figures, then yeah, you know, whatever. James, the new resin printers, at least the ones I own from Elegoo, come with the built-in carbon filter and fan that sucks all of the fumes through the carbon filter, so that you could, if you want to, have them inside of a house. They're not like the old ones where, oh my goodness, you know, the old ones, that resin was just so messed up. Nowadays, you can get water rinsable resin. You can get resin that's 100% made from vegetables. I mean, you know, it's not like the old days where you had to play like Mr. Science Guy with the gloves on and the big gallon of isopropyl alcohol and, you know, eye protection and a filter. And nah.
Why
Go in
why are
looking
you
like Darth
watching me,
Vader.
dude? Are you hacking into my CCTV feeds?
No. But yeah, it's just not like that, which I still always would suggest PPE, because even though the resin might be less toxic, less doesn't mean not. You know what I mean? Less doesn't mean not toxic. It just means less toxic. So yeah. But what's his name? Hell, Playing with Dice, his 3D printer's in his game room. That guy I really don't like. Goobertown Hobbies, his printers are inside. The German guys that paint miniatures, like squid something or whatever,
Good mark.
their 3D printers right behind their paint desk. So I mean, the newer ones, they really go out of their way to make them as inoffensive as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and the technology has gotten amazing. Like my Jupiter is the resolution is 12,000. So if I print a miniature up and I've got everything really tuned in, I mean, that thing will print, I mean, so much detail that you'll never paint it, you know? And then you'll have the Warhammer problem. And for those of you who don't know, the Warhammer problem is, it's possible to make a miniature that has so much bullshit on it that you don't even want to paint it. Anyone who's ever tried to paint a Chaos Army knows what I'm talking about. But now they're making even the normal Space Marines that way, you know? And me and I think Hungar and I were talking about the other day, like, I kind of miss the old space Marines that you just cut off the sprue and like push fit the bolter onto them, like the second edition Space Marines. I kind of miss them. You know, they had like almost, they were just Space Marines. They weren't covered in like all this gaudy bullshit. So, you know, you push fit them together and you painted them and you played the game and it was fun and everybody was happy and whatever.
That reminds me of when I first started playing Privateer Press's game. Started playing.
Oh yeah. The freaking Warmahordes.
Warmahordes, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, I have a massive Menoth army, Bruce.
Menoth is my favorite sect out of all of them.
Yep. mine too. And
Actually,
when I say massive, I mean a couple thousand points.
I,
At
I
least.
like Minoth and I like the trolls for hordes.
Yeah, the trolls are cool. But for me, it was Minoth, and I always stuck the flying chick as my
The girl with all the chains.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was always my caster, and then I would always take the avatar of Minoth because it's a big ass warjack that generates its own action points, whatever they were called. And she generates 10 around. The only problem is you've got to guard her, right?
Yep.
But if you use the build rules, any jack she takes that doesn't have a range attack costs one less. So you end up playing a game against somebody and you've got like 9 Crusaders. So they never get a shot on her because you keep the Crusaders base space and keep her behind them. And you basically just Crusader ball them. And plus you throw like a Paladin in and a couple other little things like that, you know. But you can't take any range stuff. But who cares? Like you take 2 units of zealots and for whatever reason they don't count as ranged because they throw hand grenades or something. And if you take the leader of the unit, he can like for 1 round, he can make them invulnerable to everything. I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's a common thing though when you start talking about Warma hordes. Because you remember
It was an amazing game. I don't know why it ever went away. I mean, it was huge in Orlando for a while.
We were playing it until 2014.
Yeah, it was huge.
It just dried up, just completely. I don't even know what the hell happened to it. I'm going to go look at the internet right now, and I know I'm on the internet right now, but I want to go look at their webpage because last thing I saw Privateer Press doing was fucking paints.
Well, their P3 paints are pretty good.
No.
You don't like them?
Nope.
I like Minoth White and Minoth Red. I thought those were pretty good. But anyway, whatever. Maybe I'm just a Minoth fanboy.
I'm a big fan of
White Dwarf magazines back in the day.
No.
Yeah, Beaky Marines. That's going old school when it was like 1999 and you got 36 Marines in a box. And the original Rhino box set was $19.99 and you got 2 rhinos. It's like now if you want a rhino, get ready to unload, $50. You're going to drop a grant. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's so weird. It's like, I remember like the first, second, third, fourth, fifth edition, every 2-player box set that came out, not one of them cost more than $100. It was like the second edition box set was like $69.99, and it went up a little bit, and it went up a little bit, and then around 7th edition, it broke the $100 range, and then 8th edition, it was starting to be in the 150 plus range, and then 9th edition, it was like 200, and it was just like now, they sell you. And granted, the miniatures are beautiful. I understand they're saying, hey, look how beautiful our miniatures are. But I think what they don't seem to understand is most of the people who bought those old 40K boxes wanted to play 40K. They didn't want to spend 3 weeks painting 1 Chaos Marine. And yeah, I think that's what screwed them up. It's like I've got Chaos stuff up there, and they're so intricate. It's just like who has the time for this shit? Which is why I'm very relaxed sitting here painting these historic minis, because it's like with historic minis, man, you use like 6 colors maybe. and like 3 of those colors are shades of brown, you know? And it's like, yeah, you know, it's like my Alexander Pikemen. They're wearing white linothoraxes, which actually I don't use white. I use an off-white. And they have red cloth armor on, and they have a leather, the thing that hangs down around the waist. And they have a bronze helmet and flesh-colored skin. Yeah, that's the thing. They've made the game so deluxe that, one, it's out of the price range of most people. You know, it's not like in the old days where you could be a guy like me working a construction job. It's 1996 or 97, and you walk in to the game store and you're like, $69.99, 2-player game. And then you turn to your brother and you're like, what do you think? And he's like, looks fun. Oh, okay, we'll pick that up. And then you pick it up and you go home and you squeeze fit your shit together and paint all the Marines red, and he paints all of his orcs black with green skin. And then you play games and just have a blast, you know? It's like, just to this day, if you mention to Hungar, the Gretchen that wouldn't die, he'll probably remember that story. Because there was one time my Space Marines charged a unit of his Gretchen, and that last Gretchen would not die. And it killed Space Marines. And when he had to roll his morale check, he rolled like freaking snake eyes. So the Gretchen was just like, no F's given. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't going anywhere. And that was how 40K used to be. You know? And Games Workshop, not to make any of you younger guys feel bad, but Games Workshop, White Dwarf would come out with like blueprints on how to make bunkers and orc vehicles and, you know, Space Marine this and that. And it'd be like, you know, first gather up like, you know, 6 Coca-Cola lids and then cut some cardboard out. An old cereal box will work. And then, you know, and it was, oh, I know you will. And I'll think about that. But it's like, well, right now, Crafting Gamer, I think all of the Space Marines I have are the old ones now. Mark 3, Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6. I don't even have a Mark 7 anymore. Because I stopped playing 40K and I started playing Horus Heresy. So, and I was lucky in that my wife had bought me a bunch of boxes of the Mark 3s before Horus Heresy released in plastic when they were like $39.99 for like 20 of the little bastards. Now, are they the same size as the new ones? No, they're slightly smaller, but so are people, so it's all good. You know, mix and match them in the same squad, they're fine. Or if you're really worried about it, glue them to plasticard, like the white plasticard, and then carefully cut out that plasticard so it looks like they got platform shoes, and then glue them on the base, and then by the time you base the figure, you won't even see that plasticard. And they'll look that, you know, 1/8 of an inch taller, you know? So, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But, come on. There you go. There we go. That's my grandma. I made a miniature of my grandma. She's sitting in a pestle, and she's, you know, covering up the tracks behind her so nobody will see her as she flies around in her mortar and pestle. And of course, you guys all know that that's Baba Yaga.
Yes.
which does not mean boogeyman. It means old woman with droopy breasts. But, you know, if they'd called John Wick the old woman with droopy breasts, I don't think the movie would have been quite as, I don't know. People would have been like, what? Why are they calling that assassin the droopy breasted old woman? But a baba, that's just a grandma or an old woman. Or a babushka, you know, baba, babushka, dadushka, you know, so grandma and grandpa. But, yep. In Baptism of Fire, she's in the game. And chances of you killing her are absolutely astronomically small. Just probably not going to happen. And then the rule is, even if you do manage to defeat her, she'll just reappear a year later. So, you know, you literally can never get rid of Baba Yaga. She will always be there. So, Pathfinder had Baba Yaga in it in their little homebrew world.
Yeah, they had her in the Winter's adventure path.
Yeah, didn't she like rule a kingdom or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Kinda
then she
cool.
got kind of greedy and she started winter in middle of June. And that started the entire like, oh shit, here comes the heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, she owned that frozen land.
And then the very end, right before the last episode, the players went to World War One, and so they could come back with like a MP5 or some other popular rifle at the time
To kill Baba Yaga?
if they wanted to.
Wow. I was thinking, since Talislanta is such an alien world, and there are so many templates that a person could pick to play, that for new players, probably the easiest thing to do would be to make them make just a random human. Well, it wouldn't be random since they'd be, you know, modifying the character. But basically, the character would start with 0 and all the attributes and like some basic skills, and then say that the characters were all friends and pull like the D&D cartoon on them. Like somehow they went through a date and ended up in Talislanta.
That could work.
And then that way they could, because it's a skill-based game, they could decide what they wanted to do with the character. And 2, they would have a basis of reference for themselves, but not for anything else. So, you know, if they met gnomekin or darklings or whatever, it would truly be like a weird thing. You know, they'd be like, oh shit, you know, what is this thing? It's a darkling. What are darklings? Scumbags, basically. When you get down to it, scumbags. Bubba Hotep. Not to be confused with Baba O'Reilly. Man. Mixing Russian and Irish. F it, I'll do it live. I'll do it live. You know, people were like making fun of him, and I'm sitting here thinking, that guy's kind of ballsy, man. Like, the whatever broke down, and instead of being like, oh, I guess we can't do the show, that dude's all like, F it, I'll do it live. You run the shit, I'll do it live. You know, I mean, in a way, instead of making me not like Bill O'Reilly, it kind of made me respect him more. Because I'm like, that dude has no quit in him, does he? He's just like, F it, we'll do it live. Okay. Sounds good to me then, I guess, you know? And everybody being like, can you believe this guy? And I'm just like, sounds kind of like a badass to me. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely not afraid of doing whatever he's doing live. And that's something I wouldn't want to do. You know, like if I were on a talk show and like the teleprompter or whatever died, I would just poop myself and then tell whoever owns the show that I have to go home because I pooped myself. You know, that would probably be my exit strategy. You know what I'm saying? How do I get out of this situation? Aha, I got the perfect idea. I'm just going to shit myself. You know?
First you say it, then you do it.
Right? And it's like, but not that dude. That dude was like, okay, we'll do it live. You run the thing and I'll say the stuff. You know, it's like, okay. Yeah, you live your best life there, Bill. Of course, he got yanked out by the Me Too movement. A lot of decent people got yanked out by that movement. That movement kind of pisses me off. Not gonna lie, you know, it pisses me off a little bit. It's like, I think the main reason it pisses me off is because you can't convince me that half of those hookers didn't know exactly what the F was going on the whole time.
Right.
You know, like Meryl Streep. You're going to tell me Meryl Streep didn't know what Harvey Weinstein was into? You know? Of course she knew. She was right there with him. She called him God during an award ceremony. You know? So don't tell me she didn't know. She knew. The bitch that Disney hired to ruin Star Wars, not Kathleen Kennedy, the other one, that used to be Harvey Weinstein's freaking personal assistant. You gonna try to tell me she didn't know what was going on? And also the Me Too movement's kind of full of shit because, okay, if he's diddling little kids, obviously, then it's time to bust out, you know,
Bust out the wood chipper.
The wood chipper, right? But if a grown-ass woman walks in there and he says, okay, here's the deal. I'll put you in a movie, but you got to do some sex stuff. If she agrees, you know, but then they talk about, well, there's power differentials and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, what you have is a woman that's willing to suck cock to be in a movie. That's what you have. Let's be honest here. She thought it through, and she's like, let this fat Jabba the Hutt looking bitch come all over my face, or and be in a movie and make millions of dollars, or go somewhere else and not be in a movie and make millions of dollars. Yeah. And then she made the choice. And now late in life, she's feeling a little bit like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. It's like, it's a little late now, sitting in your $10 million mansion. You know, it's like, no one forced you. If they forced you, they need to go to prison, because that's, you know, grapeage, and we do, you know, we don't do that.
Right.
But if you made a transactional deal with somebody, I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I support it. I'm just saying. I'm just quoting Bill Burr. That there is just a horde of gold digging bitches, and you know, nobody seems to be willing to do anything about them, and they're just out here ruining men's lives, right? And every time you think somebody's going to do something about it, they never do. So, yeah, to quote Bill Burr, The snapping turtle looks real scary. Well, you should see them in real life. I mean,
I'm not a big fan of snapping turtles. Those fuckers will fucking take your toes off if you're wearing soft shoes.
yeah, I've seen them pull a snapping turtle up that was, again, like 100 pounds. So them dinosaurs get pretty damn big.
I mean, completely possible.
Yeah, it was on one of those freaking river monsters things or some shit. Which the reason the river monster show had to end is because the main dude was fishing for those fish down in the Amazon, the ones that get like 10 feet long.
Yeah.
And when they were pulling one up, it hit him in the chest and gave him a heart attack. Like it hit him so hard that it caused his cardiac shit to go haywire. Yeah, you'll never find a real one as big to scale as that. That's, a 10-foot long snapping turtle. I mean, that thing's going to, if it gets any part of you in its mouth, you're not getting that part back. So, it is what it is. But even in the swamps of Louisiana and stuff like that, they talk about these snapping turtles, getting 100+ years old and being like, just massive, just like ungodly huge. Like, but then again, you got to be a crazy person to be freaking wading through that shit anyway.
I'm going to go fuck with dinosaurs.
Yeah, right. You live in Louisiana and you're just like, well, can't see the bottom of it. And I can't even see in it at all because it's covered in weeds and shit. I think I'll wade through this.
Let me get this murky, weed-covered pool in northern Houston. Let's see what happens.
Yes, yeah, just see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It's like, you could die. There are things in there that could absolutely kill you. And will. Not could, will absolutely kill you.
Were you on with me last week? I was on your stream whenever I unboxed this, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Is that the one that somebody sent you?
Crafting Gamer sent me this and about 30 other figs.
Well, that was nice of him.
Didn't have to do that, by the way. Just trying to remind him of that.
Well, I mean, it's too late now. He already did, and he ain't getting them back.
Oh, no. He's going to get them back. It's going to be during game.
Just like I traded him for a rabbit hide leather belt pouch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he ain't getting it back. Actually, he got a good deal on that. I like to, if I'm going to trade with somebody, I like to make sure that I always give them the upside of the trade. Because that way I never have to worry about, did I rip that guy off? I know. No, I didn't rip that guy off. He got an amazing deal. And then I feel good about it because I'm like, whatever. I wasn't doing shit with that stuff anyway. So
Six Nation says, make a diorama of Atreyu getting ate in Swamp of Sadness.
oh my goodness. You guys talk that shit, but we all know when you were little kids and you saw that for the first time, you cried.
I cried when Artax died. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, how could you not? It's so weird. It's like people can watch a movie where humans are dying in droves and not bat an eye, but let a dog or a freaking horse die, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like, wait a minute. F just happened over here. Did that guy really kill that dog? I hate that guy now. I wish the worst for him and his whole family, like that.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree.
Yeah, it's like. Now, the only time I ever seen a movie that showed people dying that I was like, God damn, this might be too much, was the first 15 minutes of Saving Private Ryan.
Me too.
I mean, I watched that and I was like, wow. I was like, that's rough right there. And what's even worse is knowing that dudes did that.
That's what I tell people. I was like, man, you want something that'll really hit you in the feels? Watch Don Bluth films.
Watch what?
Don
Bluth.
Bluth films.
Secret of them.
Every one of them's like, this is supposed to be a kid's show.
They're never just kid shows. They're never just kid shows.
Yeah, but that was the thing. It's like I'm sitting there in the movie theater, you know, I'm half deaf because, you know, how they used to, the audience is now deaf, you know, and all that shit. And then all of a sudden you see the old man standing there, and then the next thing you know, you see those freaking landing crafts cutting across the waves. And it's just like, and I was just sitting there like, what's going to happen? And then that first ramp drops and you see everybody die. And it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's just like, what did I sign up for here? This is, this might be a bit much, you know? And it didn't get, and guys who haven't seen that movie, it don't get better after that. You know, it really doesn't. That movie is like, that's something.
When you go see that movie, you might as well just go enlist. You'll have an easier time.
Yeah, it's like,
well, the story I heard with that movie is that there were veterans. And they had to. It was reported that they had to go back to counseling because it just brought back so many memories, and it took them back when they were there.
Like the World War II veterans, they had to put a warning at the beginning of the movie and shit.
Yeah.
That it would F with you. And the fact of the matter is, I can't imagine being a World War II veteran and watching that and not having some feels. Because that shit was rough. That was definitely like, damn. Okay. Just how we doing?
That movie, I about walked out of the theater. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting that. And then when the guys were trying to jump over the side, and that one guy couldn't get his canteen off because it was hindering his movement, and then the bullet pierces him. That was
while he's underwater.
Fuck yeah.
And then toward the end, they're pushing up, and the waves are rolling up on the beach, and the water's red.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh my god,
what the fuck did I get myself into?
I'll tell you what. Maybe they should start showing that to everybody in the 12th grade.
Actually, they should.
These young ass punks that don't know anything, just be like, we're going to watch a movie. This is historically accurate. Put that shit in. Be like, all right, now go on about your way, and we'll see if you want to become a socialist or something. The answer, I think, would be no.
The story I heard, there's this one guy, and this is his story that he was there. He was on the beach, and somebody came up to help him render aid, and the guy's like, "Excuse me, you're standing on my arm." And the guy looks down. Yeah, he was standing on the arm. Problem was, the arm wasn't attached to him anymore.
Oh yeah, there's a scene. There's that scene in the show.
Oh, that's in there?
Yeah. In the background, while the Rangers are trying to get up to the machine gun, you see a guy running around missing an arm, and then he finds it, and you see him running back the airway with his arm in his hand.
Yeah.
It's like, and then of course the guy with the flamethrower tank gets hit, so he just goes up like a Roman candle. I mean, it's everything that can go wrong goes wrong for like 15 minutes straight. And actual history fact, the general who was in charge of that had actually called for a retreat, but the message didn't get through. And then by the time they were getting through. The Rangers had already scaled that cliff and started rolling the flank and taking out machine gun nests. But there for a while, it was real hit or miss for whether we were going to, be able to pull that shit off or not. Because, and just think, we were fighting old men and boys. That wasn't even, I mean, the cream of the crop for the Germans had all died in Russia. Like, a year
Well, yeah, but
before,
because nobody was supposed to attack from there. That was such an impossible thing. Nobody in their right mind was going to attack from that direction. So, I mean, you don't put your best soldiers from the spot. That's not supposed to be attacked.
No. The point.
But then again, you don't show Americans, hey, nobody can attack it, so don't even bother.
The point I was making, Nerdy Ogre, is they didn't have their best soldiers. 80% of German casualties were in Russia. 80%. If you were a German casualty, 8 out of 10 died in Russia. Think about that. And then the Russians lost like 25 million people during the course of the war.
I wonder how that happened.
Well, the Germans and also the Russians.
The Russians, the fucking commissars.
Because the commissars would shoot you in the throat if you tried to run. The NKVD. Because, that's how they do. And the German Wehrmacht actually had a standing order to execute on the spot any NKVD member they captured. And then, of course, they both gave orders to not take a step back, which just made it worse for everybody. Here is a story of how crazy the Austrian was. He had a general, I forget his name now. Manstein, maybe? No. Anyway, this guy was the commander of the 1st Grossdeutschland Panzer Grenadier Regiment, which was like an elite unit, right? They were told to hold Kursk. They had done nothing but got their asses whipped all the way back from, Odessa or wherever. And so what this guy did is he put his infantrymen into positions, and their job was just to hold the Russian army up just enough. And then as soon as it looked like the Russians were going to break through, retreat to the next line, right? And then he took all of his tanks and all of his like mechanized units, half tracks and shit, and he took them and he put them in the back of the city. And when the Russians came in, the units on the flanks did not withdraw. Those Germans stayed and they fought like hell, you know what I mean? But the ones in the middle started falling back. So the Russians were like, we've broken through the line, right? And they spilled into the city. And then the commander tucked the regiment around all the armor and hit them in the ass. And that was the last victory the Germans ever had in World War II in the East. And for having retreated from the city, that general was relieved of command, even though his tactics had actually brought victory, because that's how stupid things were at that point, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, really? You'd think you'd want to promote that dude to like field marshal or something. Because, I mean, numbers are not going to work. You're going to need some ducking and jiving. You know what I'm saying? But nope. Instead, he got removed from his position. And then the division, which started like 11,000 strong, had like a total of like a couple hundred people survive the war. just because, they were what they called a fire brigade. I only know all this stuff as I actually made them when I played Flames of War. So basically, anytime the German military in the East was having a problem with something, they would send First Großdeutschland. And they would typically roll in and just steamroll whatever, right? They were like the elite guys. They had all the best equipment. But yeah, in the end, they fought in Latvia, Lithuania, and then they managed to pull a very daring escape from one of those countries, and then eventually they surrendered, and that was it. But yeah, fought to the end. And one group they hated really bad was the SS. Like First Großdeutschland, yeah, their officer hated the SS because they were not ideological the way the SS were. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't buy into the whole, all that shit. Yeah, exactly, Jose. And people don't think about that. Like England, everybody's having a hard time with 20% of the Russian army because 80% is in Russia, So it's like, thank goodness that they, invaded. I mean, Stalin was going to invade the Germans anyway. I mean, that's what Case Blue was all about. The Germans had gotten message that Stalin was massing troops on the border for an invasion into German territory. So they decided to preempt him, which is why in the first couple of weeks of the war, they captured like 1 million Soviet troops. Why were those 1 million Soviet troops that close to the border?
Once
You know what I'm saying? Because they were going to attack. But the Germans attacked and wrecked their asses. But Germany never had the production or the manpower that Russia could bring to bear. Plus us, Americas. By the time the mid-war was going, there wasn't a single Russian that wasn't wearing an American-made pair of boots, a jacket, or eating American ham. Because we would ship it on, what are those guys called, Bruce? The ones that aren't part of the Navy but kind of are?
You mean the CBs, construction battalions?
No, they
Merchant Marines.
Merchant Marines. Yeah, we would send Merchant Marine ships into the Mediterranean and then dock at in the Arabian Sea, like in what was then Persia, and then load all that stuff up on trains and ship it up to Russia.
I can see that.
So yeah, we equipped them with like so much food and boots, and we pretty much, but we paid in leather and ham. The Russians paid in blood. You know what I mean? Like if you look up the casualty figures for the Battle of Stalingrad, it is mind blowing.
Never do that. If you're in a good place, just stay where you are.
Yeah.
Don't look up the numbers on Stalingrad.
To this day, when farmers till their fields, they still find bones.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Stalingrad anymore. It's Petrograd, I think. They named it back to whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. But to this day, Russian farmers will till their land and find bones, bone chips. Like so many people died, it literally impregnated the earth. It's mind blowing. But Damn, that shit got whatever. Guys, yeah, I'm not painting any weird fantasy figures. I am just painting some historics. I say that after I just showed you Baba Yaga, who I don't think is historic, but whatever. And I just put a black primer coat on these Vargulfs, or they could be, well, no, they can't be Strigoi. These are Vargulfs, which is kind of like a bestial type of vampire. Because you've got your smooth debonair vampire, like Dracula type, but then you've got like in Slavic mythology, you've got like 100 kinds of vampires. This is a Strigoi. Yeah, this is a Strigoi.
What do they do?
They're vampires.
I was gonna say it looks like a vampire.
Yep. But what happens is Strigoi are always women, and when they die, they might rise back from the grave as a Strigoi, and they'll become like 7 feet tall and bestial with like claws that can rip right through chainmail, and and then a lot of times the first thing they do is they try to go eat their parent and family members.
Wow.
Yeah, Robert. So, and then after they do that, they're just going to kind of tool about and kill whoever they can find wandering through the forest at night, because it's Slavic myth and nothing is good. It's not like Western European myth where you might go into the magical forest and find them, pixies. And no, everything in Slavic myth wants you dead. And literally there's at least 25 legit vampires, including, as I've mentioned multiple times before, if someone has a miscarriage and they don't bury the fetus with rites, it can rise as a perineage, which is basically a embryo vampire that flies around with its umbilical cord, dragging and eats people. Because, welcome to Russia. In Mother Russia,
Western,
you don't abort baby abort you.
ooh,
right?
Western mythology isn't much better. I mean, look, a lot of people put a glittery spin on it, but it's.
I mean, there's at least I don't know, a Lady of the Lake, a chalice, stuff. In Russian mythology, it's like as soon as you go more than 10 feet within the edge of a forest, you might as well kill yourself. Because there's nothing in the forest that likes you. Everything in that forest wants you dead. You know what I mean? And Russia is full of swamps and forests. So guess what? And the wintertime is going to kill you if monsters don't. And Poland's no better. Poland is no better. Half of Poland's a swamp. You know what I mean? So it's like, just F it, There's a kind of vampire that is the result of a really ugly woman who never got married. And she hides out in the Carpathian Mountains, and once a year she stills a child because she always wanted to get married and have children, but
That's kind of sad, but that shit happens.
Yep. Now the Polish version of the perineage is called a Ludovic or something like that, and it becomes a monster with the body of a big raven, but the head of the baby.
Have you ever seen the movie The Croods?
Of course, the cave people who are afraid of everything.
Yeah. That's what it was making me think of. Where they sat around and the dad would tell stories, and all the stories ended up he smacks some berries on the, he'd draw the little figures on the wall, on the cave wall, and tell a story about him. Then he smacks them with some berries where it's all red, and it kills you, and it ate them, and all this. Just all the stories ended up, everybody died.
Well, you know what's kind of cool about that is humans naturally have a negative how to say it, like humans, if we hear a rustle in the bushes, we always assume it's the worst possible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a survival trait,
Right.
because if you're walking through the woods and you hear something, like a branch break 50 yards away, and you turn around and haul ass, well, it might have been a deer, or it could have been a brown bear. You know what I'm saying? So humans have learned to always opt for the side that's not going to kill you, to make that choice, which choice will not lead in my death. That's the choice I'm making. It's they have a word for it, and it's not fight or flight. It's an actual different thing. But we apparently, way back in the primitive ages, there was so much stuff out there that would kill us that becoming hypersensitive to threats was a survival instinct. And yeah, makes sense, man. I mean, the world was bad. We know we lived at the same time as like cave bears and giant sloths and God only knows what, because like I always argue with people, you can't trust the fossil.
Institute.
You can't trust the fossil record because only like less than 1% of animals will ever fossilize. So we're looking at less than 1% of the creatures that were alive. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there could have been some truly terrifying shit roaming around. Like, shit that would just make you want to poop yourself and die on the spot if you saw it. Oh, says the man who lives in the Florida where everything real in the swamp also wants to kill you. That's true, including some of the people. Yeah, you don't want to go to Okeechobee.
Did you ever see that movie called Southern Comfort?
Yeah, I think I did.
It's a movie about this reserve unit that they're on drill and they get told to go east out of the swamps of Texas. But in the process, nerdy, what happens is they transgress into an area where there's some swamp people that just don't want to have contact with the outside world. And the army guys, like, first off, some of them steal like canoes from these people to go east through the swamps. And then other guys run afoul of some swamp people traps in the swamps. And so they end up getting drowned. It's just like what can go wrong will go wrong. And it's not a bad movie. It never made money no matter where they released it. But Walter Hill is the director of it. And if you want to watch a fairly interesting movie where like it think of Deliverance but without the butt sex or the pig sounds, that's Southern Comfort. It's not bad.
Yeah, in Kentucky we have a rule: if you're ever hiking through the woods and you find an encampment and there's stuff in it, turn around immediately and leave. Even if, let's say you were camping and someone stole your shit and you're walking around and you find an encampment and you see your shit there, still leave. Because chances are there's, 20 sets of eyeballs watching you. And if you take your shit back, you're done. Just turn around and go.
Yeah, you better stay alive.
Yeah, go quickly from that region, because you might have wandered into a camp of feral people. Because apparently, deep in the woods, there are people who've been there for like 200 years and they like living the way they live and they don't want you there. Which is why, like, one of these days, I'm going to just I'm going to think of a way to make my players into characters, like make characters based on my actual players, and then tell them we're playing some modern game, but it's going to be bloody Appalachia. I'm not going to tell them until shit gets crazy. And then would that be mean? Maybe that'd be mean, but it'd be fun too, you know? Like the first one that gets like cut in half by some weirdo wearing a pig head as a mask with a chainsaw. Yeah, that'd be kind of crazy, man. Be like, and other news, since we're starting to run out of time, and I'm sitting here painting some Irishmen for a Saga army. The Irish are so cool in Saga because if you roll the right dice, if the enemy is within like 12 inches of a forest, you can make a ranged attack against them. And that represents the children throwing rocks and shit from the woods. Little bastards. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You're like, wow. But also my dogs that I painted up, those are for the Irish Army because they can have a hound master and field 8 dogs, which the dogs aren't necessarily super great in combat, being that they don't have armor, but they're very fast. They ignore difficult terrain, you know, and all that. So it's basically kind of like if you wear an enemy unit out and they're really fatigued and running and trying to get away, that's when you sick the hounds on them. You know what I mean? Put the hounds on that ass. See how they like it. They're not going to. It's going to end.
Smithers, release the hounds.
Exactly. Smithers. I love that. I love that. Yeah. But and then of course, instead of elite, well, you can have elite troops, but if you're playing the Irish, you can have many heroes, and they're the only army that gets them. They're kind of like Cuchulainn or Conchobar, you know, it's like, so you've got this unit running around and it's just one guy. But his whole deal is he's running around trying to challenge people to duels and jumping groups of people and you know, duking it out with these guys. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Even though it's just one guy. It's one guy that just does not give an F about anything because he's a hero. So, and you get 2 of those for 1 point. And that's not bad, you know? That's not a bad thing to have these 2 guys kind of cruising about, inflicting damage on the enemy. That's all right. But again, I'm talking Saga, and I feel like I'm probably the only person in chat on this channel, etc., that even knows what it is.
Saga is a game that other people play, not me. It's a fine game because they always talk about it.
Yeah, it's one of those games that hardcore war gamers always talk about it, but you almost never see anyone playing it.
No, that's ASL.
Oh, Advanced Squad Leader? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a game you play if you're not married. You just got like a whole weekend to not do anything.
Like we had 2 guys in Washington, Illinois that they were always on the lookout for some 25 or 30-year-old man that was kind of fat, kind of ugly, and single. And they were always on the lookout for that guy because they wanted to bring him into the ASL cult. And
Right.
so the ASL cult was like these 6 older dudes, and like all of them have died since then. No, wait, one of them's still alive. He still plays with Connell. But they would play ASL, and that would be like a weekend game. That would be like their monthly weekend where they all get together in someone's garage and they drink a ton of stuff that you and I don't drink.
Yeah.
Like their picks in alcohol or drinks were completely in line with playing ASL. They would drink stuff like Falstaff
Yeah.
or Stroh's. Someone would have a line on old beer. And I got like 4 cases of
Schaefer.
this Falstaff or Schaefer. Oh God, Schaefer.
Yeah.
And they would do this, and that was like the ASL cult. And like I always wanted to play it because I always heard good things about it. And a friend of mine's like, "No, dude, don't do that. You don't want that. You don't want that life."
Like I said, ASL is for you're unmarried and you've got a weekend. Florida is America's Australia. Those are true words, Jose. We even got shit Australia is afraid of. Like somebody's claiming that salties have been observed down near the swamps and the keys and shit. So that's the meanest monster in Australia, really, is a saltwater crocodile. And if we got them here, then I mean, okay, we beat Australia.
But here's the thing: what a lot of people don't understand.
About what?
Well, Australia. Everybody's like going on as like, oh, Australia's dangerous and deadly, and it is. I'm not denying that. Australia would kill you, but Australia is just marginally bigger than Texas. So I mean, yeah. See, Australia has it concentrated into this lane right here. America, we got our shit spread out.
Yeah, if you're in the north, you got to watch out for grizzlies and pumas and all kinds of stuff. And if you're down here in Florida, then God help you. Because, I mean, I always tell people who visit me from like out of state, if there's water and you can't see the bottom of it, assume there's an alligator in it. Because that's a safe assumption that will keep you from getting drug in and killed. And now it could be a crocodile because, Florida has always had Florida crocodiles, but now we've got Egyptian crocodiles, Nile crocodiles, because, why not? Which my wife and I were talking about how to seal the border. And I suggested like unleash a herd of hippos.
We could go steal the cocaine hippos from El Chapo.
Yeah, let a herd of hippos loose in the Rio Grande. See how people like that shit. Because those things will just kill you on sight. They don't even think about it. They're just like, life is multiple choice, and they always choose violence. So,
they always do.
And they're hyper aggressive. It's like you're minding your own business, cruising down the way in your boat. This bitch is chasing you. He is mad. And they don't know love either. Because this guy raised a hippo from the time it was a baby, let it loose into the wild, went back to visit it, and the hippo killed him. So it was like, this is just as the one guy on Casual Geography says the hippo is the giant middle finger to God. It's like it's a creature that's on the earth and it doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone. And there's not a lot you can do about it. You know, I mean, it's not the worst animal, though. The worst animal is the dolphin. You know, everybody hates sharks. But if you knew all the shit dolphins get up to, you'd be like, sharks are actually not bad animals.
Yeah.
You know, they're all right.
Well, that's what that pissed me off years ago. There was a kid. Well, I say kid. There was a guy. He was mentally retarded, and
So you're typical Democrat. Go on.
well, and like his parents or caretaker took him to SeaWorld. Well, he got away and got into the tank with Shamu, and the thing killed him. And they're all trying to blame SeaWorld because they made it look like, oh, well, they made it look so friendly and lovable. The thing is called a killer whale. Killer. The word killer is in the name of what we call it.
Yeah, you're talking about, I think his name was Keokuk. And the trainer was a young lady. And Keokuk was in the back lot because it already attacked and tried to kill multiple people. It was it was adolescent male, but on the older side of adolescence.
Yeah.
So, you know, pumping full of testosterone, and it's a killer whale, right?
Right.
He leaned down because everybody told her, don't go near that well. But this woman was like, no, me and Keokuk, we got a bond, right? She leaned down. She had a long ponytail. It grabbed the ponytail, pulled her in, and took her to pieces. One of the guys I worked with at the fire department, his side hustle was paramedic at SeaWorld. He got that call.
Oh,
Yeah, he had to go to therapy.
that's therapy lesson. Or that therapy lesson.
He had to go to therapy.
One of my favorite comics has a bit called Killer Clothes. And Killer Clothes, it's Doug Stanhope goes off. He's like, you know, I'm always searching for the perfect way to end a show so I don't have to come back and do this. People will remember me and they'll buy the DVD and they'll show their friends and they'll buy the DVD, and you know, nobody will ever want me back on stage again. They'll just be really happy with what happened and that it's all over. And you know, Doug did what no comic had done yet, and that was have the killer clothes. What's the killer clothes? Well, it'd be like the equivalent of being at SeaWorld that day, and that girl, you know, she's doing things with the killer whale, and they always call her the wrong thing. They call her a killer whale trainer. Killer whales come out of the womb of other killer whales already pre-programmed to be a killer whale. They're already good at it. They don't have to like go to class. They don't get certified. They're just fucking naturally good at being killer whales.
Yeah.
And something happened, and she just got dragged down to the bottom of the pool in front of God and everyone else, if there is a God. This is his words, not mine. And he says, and then the killer whale ate the shit out of her. Just right there. And the water never got bloody enough or murky enough to hide it. So everybody got to see it in full, visceral, gory 3D, and everybody's screaming and crying. And the whale thought, like, now we're putting on a show. Look at this, man. They're all cheering. And it just got more excited, and it just fucking made it kind of a thing. And, you know, I mean, if I could ever close out a show like that, you know, I think I'd probably be the best comic ever. But, you know, since I'm really not able to do that, you know, I'm kind of disappointed. But please forgive me if I don't want to see your uncle play flamenco guitar at 7 p.m. at the local karaoke bar, okay? Because I know how that ends.
Yeah. Yep, that Keokuk thing, and everybody was mad. And then other people like me were like, well, what did you expect? You know, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but a killer whale is about the size of your average school bus.
Really?
You know,
I thought
this
they were
is
about the size of
not-
your average like F-150 or F-250.
they are freaking huge, like 30 feet long.
I gotta check this out. Hold on.
Yeah, look up how big they are.
I will. I will.
You know, up in Canada, they eat moose because moose will jump in the water and try to swim down to eat the kelp.
Killer whales, also known as orcas, can be up to 32 feet long and weigh up to 11 tons.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, they can eat sharks.
Yeah, they love shark liver specifically.
The shark liver is their
they'll
favorite.
beat a shark up, slice it open, eat its liver, and then let the shark go. I mean, needless to say, the shark is not going to live through that
No.
encounter. I mean, you know.
And, yep, they're about as long as school buses. School bus is about 32 feet long.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was
So
right.
you're talking about a swimming school bus that's not much stupider than you are, with a mouth full of big ass teeth. And you know, you want to mess with that thing? No. And like Nerdy Ogre so aptly said, they're called killer whales. They're not called snuggle whales or huggy whales or kissy whales. They are called killer whales. Why? Because they are the apex predator in the ocean.
What I want to know,
A killer whale will hit a great white and frickin' all you see is red mist and a killer whale going on its way. You know
what I want to know is, why did we start calling the sperm whale the sperm whale?
I don't even want to know that. As a matter of fact, banned. You're banned for bringing that up. It's like, what the hell? Damn it, Nerdy Ogre. Why do we call sperm whale sperm whale? I don't know.
mean, we call it killer whale for a reason.
I've seen videos where these women go to these like dolphin encounters and the dolphins try to like sex them up.
Mm-hmm.
And like that dolphin's wang is hanging out there and it's trying to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of a dolphin's favorite things to do is like or travel about in a little pack of 3 or 4 and like kidnap a female from a neighboring pod and then just use her for a day or two. And most of the time they live, but sometimes they don't. Not that the dolphins stop. If she dies, they don't stop. They keep, you know,
Yeah.
taking turns because they are absolutely the worst animal in the ocean. But they've got like that one dude that runs Casual Geographic. Dolphins got pretty privilege. You see a dolphin and you think flipper.
Right.
You don't realize that they're out there murdering each other and doing all the crazy shit they're up to. Like, and they're up to some crazy ass shit. You know what I mean? Like stuff we can't talk about on YouTube without getting banned. That's the shit dolphins be getting up to.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks, they just kind of cruise around and eat fish because they're too dumb to actually think about doing, you know, that's the problem. Dolphins are smart enough to know what they're doing and to plan to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not instinctual behavior. They get together and they're like, hey, bro, you know, it'd be cool. Let's go do this thing. All right. Like they're straight up like gangsters of the ocean, right? They just cruise around smacking pimps and killing each other. And the biggest dolphin of them all is the orca, which has been caught on camera eating a moose. And do you know how big a moose is, gentlemen? Because I've been near a moose. I know how big a moose is. That thing's like 9 feet at the head. Now that I might be exaggerating because I was terrified and I was like 12. but moose are freaking big and will kill you and not even think about it. They won't even like, lay down at night before they go to sleep and wonder if what they did was right or not. They'll just go right to sleep, not even worry about it. You know what I mean? Yep. But some moose like to jump in and eat kelp, and if they jump in too far, an Oreo ocean felon shows up and they're done. That's the end of them, So, yeah. You're literally talking about an animal that beaches itself on purpose just so it can grab a seal. And then the stuff they do to the seal when they get it out in the ocean, it's like only something intelligent can be that cruel. You know what I mean? Because they throw them around and flap them with their tails and sling them around like 100 yards. And they beat the shit out of that poor seal before they eat it. I mean, they just F it up really bad, So, they're smart because they're playing. And stupid things don't play. You know what I mean? Like sharks don't play. They do what sharks do. Alligators don't play. It does what an alligator does, right? They ain't got enough brains to think about these things. But dolphins, they think about it. They're like, what do we do today? Let's eat a moose and then maybe go, I don't know. Maybe our whole pod could go and try and kill a blue whale for some reason. Yeah, that happened too. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was in San Francisco Bay. A pod of orcas tried to kill a baby blue whale. And its mama was trying to save it. And it's like, why though? Like the blue whale doesn't compete with orcas. They don't travel in the same circles, but the orcas saw the baby and was like, let's kill that baby. That'll be fun. You're muted, Nerdy Ogre, if you're saying anything. Muted.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure something out. I was talking to my phone.
Moose meat's not bad. It's just lean. I mean, it's like rabbit meat. You could, if all you ate is the lean moose meat and you didn't like add fat to supplement your diet, you'd starve to death. Like you could be eating 5 pounds of moose meat a day and you'd still just shrink up. But yeah. And dolphins, when it comes to their SA bullshit, they are open and equal opportunity. They will SA anything. Each other, fish, eels, penguins, like you name it, a dolphin has probably put its penis in it at some point or another. I mean, they're just terrible. So, it is what it is. That said, that's a hell of a place to end the stream, but I think it's a good place. You guys can all go look up, are dolphins really that bad? And then you'll be like, holy shit. James is not lying. They are the bastards of the ocean.
I would not want to play with dolphins.
I mean, it's like they might save you or they might try to have sex with you. Either way, I mean, it's like just not a good time. But Bruce and Nerdy Ogre, thank you so much for joining.
No, not a problem.
Thank you for having me.
Another Monday stream in the can, as they say. It's a wrap. Maybe I'll go watch Event Horizon again.
GM Cody?
Yeah, the rest of you can go watch GM Cody running Dragon Bait. I think you might have a lot of fun with that.
If it wasn't so late, I would, but I'm going to go to bed.
Wait, what
Well,
is he
for
running?
everyone else, it's like 7 o'clock. No, it's 9. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Peace and love, guys.
What is GM Cody running?
Dragon Bane.
Dragon Bait.